Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping into the world of Ethereum, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you will be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And of course, if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check that out today if that is your bag. There's also two additional very important links in the description down below. The first one is to our Patreon services where we offer a lot more for our Patreon members down in Discord. This is everything from AMAs twice weekly through to project reviews and a little bit of trading here and there, and of course a fantastic community as we said, talking crypto 24/7. And you know, the other link that's down in the description below is the new Cheeky podcast, a fantastic podcast keeping you up to date with everything crypto on your daily commute to the office. So why not check those out if those are your bag as well. Okay guys, let's waste no more time though. Let's jump into this brief technical analysis on Ethereum. So Ethereum paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is the data source. So following on from yesterday's video, it's kind of doing exactly as we would expect it to under these kind of low volumes and kind of slow weekend that we're kind of having here. Essentially, it's the July weekend, and the US obviously have the 4th of July and all that kind of stuff going on. So essentially, you know, it is quite slow in the crypto world at the moment. We're seeing little pockets of volatility, but nothing too major. And essentially, all you're really doing here is trading sideways in this little pattern. Now, we can obviously analyze what this looks like and kind of give our thoughts. I still think that we're heading up towards our wave 2 highs. This should be somewhere between 1,130 and 1,242, but it is being slower than we would expect. So, you know, I would still kind of say that we're probably going to end up with a little bit more volatility before we actually finally break up into this wave 2 area. Of course, we have this little origin point just up here. This is set at 1,280, sorry. And essentially, if the price was to move up higher than that, it would invalidate our lower lows, right? So we essentially would have to restructure this. And it would mean that essentially our corrective move upwards here has not yet finished, okay? And we'd have to look at this as a giant wave A, for example. This is a giant wave B low, meaning that we then surge on up and go much higher into our wave C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what that might look like now, just to kind of keep us on track here so that we know, you know, what to expect under certain circumstances. So if I go ahead and just measure this distance, right, so the top here and the bottom down here, okay, we then go ahead and move this over to this current low just over this side, it would show that we could move up to a theoretical $1,445 under an ABC structure or a WXY. It's just a 3-wave move basically. So I would go ahead and draw an A wave here, I would draw a B wave down here, and then we'd have that one potential scenario where we can move up higher. Okay, I think this is not likely, but we should put it out there as a possible scenario, right? The only way to prove that this isn't going to happen is to really come down here, go down lower than $881. Okay, by dropping down lower than $881, you invalidate this structure moving up higher. And obviously, the lower that the wave B goes, the lower that the wave C would end up going as well. Okay, so we'll leave that out there for now. It's a possible scenario, and what I will do is I'll actually just go ahead and just drop that on there. So $1,442. Okay, so we'll just leave that there. Okay, so that's our one kind of bullish sentiment out of the way. And if we actually take a look at the stochastic RSI, it's mainly this daily that could drive it. And right now, it hasn't really got the momentum behind it. But looking at Bitcoin's momentum, it probably could. The 8-hour has some kind of momentum behind it. We're overbought on the 4-hour, we're oversold on the hourly. So there's a lot of stuff kind of going on from the momentum indicator perspective. But essentially, I think if anything, what we've got here is a B wave and we are likely to move on up. So let's go ahead and measure that distance if it will let me select this. We have this distance right here. So this is basically just like a wave A, for example. We then go ahead and move this over to the current low. And then this indicates that we could move out towards a $1,151 in a 3-wave structure. Okay, a 3-wave structure is what I would expect to see here for our wave 2. Okay, so this could be the end of our wave 2, just down here at $1,151. Okay, that puts us into our little yellow box area. You know, but it's not as deep as we would normally expect to see something. But, you know, again, it is in the range. So again, it would be valid at that point. It would cross higher than our A wave. And I think this is really where we then start to see the momentum shift back to the downside where we have our lower range. So after we have completed a wave 2, I would be expecting to see, you know, a wave 1 drop down, hopefully lower than this area, some kind of wave 2 bounce here, some kind of wave 3, then wave 4, then a deeper move to the downside under a wave 5, all of which would be our wave 5 of a macro move. Let me actually go ahead and clear some of this up. Okay, let me grab that, move that, and then obviously you have this final descent with a wave 4 up, and then a wave 5 coming on down. Okay, so none of those have really changed day on day here, so we are still waiting to see how these kind of play out. These are just estimated targets. So our actual macro is between 700 and 800, and, you know, we were trying to refine this maybe towards somewhere in this range here, between, you know, 711 and $754. Okay, but obviously, as you can see here, there's many moves that counter the trend, but the trend is very much to the downside. Okay, we can't argue that that is what's going on here. Now, the bare minimum of this entire move would just be the 5-wave drop, coming down on a 1-to-1 ratio, i.e. this is all corrective and it is not trend based. Okay, now that's a possible scenario, and again, we'd have to measure the distance when we are having our 3rd wave down to make sure that it is in fact a wave 3 and not a wave C. So again, we'll be measuring those kind of variables when we actually start to see the descent going down. But for now, we should be thinking upward direction. We should be thinking just trying to push the price back up into this little yellow box area where we do estimate $1,115. Now, when I jump up into our daily view and we pull this back down, you can kind of see why we're thinking all of these moves, right? Here we have a 5-wave drop and we have this bounce coming up higher here. We also have a 5-wave drop over here. Now, when we have a 5, 3, 5, and this 3-wave move, it's to be expected that we are going to have another 5-wave drop move down. Now, this is, of course, you know, a little bit you know, shallow on the side of what we would normally expect to see. So there's always the possibility that it doesn't play out 100% as we would expect it to. But if I park this right here, you can kind of see that we were just down lower than 1.236, but nowhere near 1.618. Okay, so although we've kind of got this structural moves and we can kind of see them here, we should be very aware that there's a lower probability from a macro side that we are likely to pull back down in those kind of significant ways. Alternatively, of course, we could look at this entire thing here and think about this move, right, as a 5-wave move taking us down in towards that $700 to $800 range, which would then put us on a 1.618, right? So if I zoom out of here, let me actually just go ahead, and what I'll do is I'm just going to remove this from the week. Oh, I'm on the daily, that's why. Let me come up into a weekly. Okay, here's the weekly. So so basically what we're looking at is look to complete this move down a little bit. We could be starting this final descent down. And here you can see from a weekly perspective a slightly different narrative on this. So let me grab that. Let me just pull this up, pull that across here. And here you actually have hit that 1.618, right? So when we were on the daily chart and we were taking a look at that, we were not necessarily using the right anchor points for this. But that being said, you know, if we do start to see this pull back down, we could have another nest somewhere in this daily chart for indicating more momentum to the downside. But on our weekly chart, it's very, very clear. It's very clear that we actually have hit a 1.618 with a very clear bounce coming up into wave 2. And then we're basically looking to kind of come back down and bounce up. Now, this little 4th wave bounce, it's possible. But at the same time, we could just descend down into this low range here and have this as our wave 3. We then bounce up higher into a wave 4 and our wave 5 comes down. So these are the things that we need to be really cautious on. And that's kind of what we were talking about there on the daily chart briefly, right? That wave 3 might not be done just yet. We have this little bounce here and then we're pulling back down into another 5-wave drop. So essentially what you might have ended up with here is actually a 5-wave move inside our 3rd wave structure. We then bounce up and then we drop down again, taking us down lower. So I think we've got to be really cautious. We don't know what's exactly going to happen happen, but we want to be monitoring all of those wave structures. But based on Bitcoin, I would say that between 700 and 800 seems to be the most logical area for reversal. And if we were to see an extended drop to the downside, Bitcoin would also have to have its extended drop to the downside, meaning that it would have to hit about 14,400 to be impulsive to the downside on the macro scale. So for now, that hasn't happened. It's not forecasted to happen, but if it does, then we would expect many of these other altcoins, Ethereum, Polkadot, Algorand, Cardano, whatever it is, you would expect them to also follow suit and also drop down quite significantly at that time. However, do know that this would come after a significant bounce to the upside. So we want to kind of hedge our bets a little bit here, and we want to basically come in at the lows of, let's say, 700 to 800, assume that is the bottom, ride it up into the bounce, and if that bounce does turn against us, we jump back out and we jump back in later. At least we've made some gains before we actually find the bottom, and we can accumulate once again at a later date. But guys, I'm going to leave the video on this note. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I see it, and talk about my personal experiences within crypto. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.